would that support a resilience strategy? How does a framework do that?
I work as a facilitator and as a coach with a lot of leaders, and I use emotional intelligence. And I use the report, and invariably the conversation comes to stress management. And when we start talking about stress management, we start talking about resilience, and it's this one big word, okay, resilience. And when we then have to start to break it down. And what I really liked about this report is that it's broken down into 5 pillars, and each pillar has 2 aspects. So I think it gives great insights into the different things you can do with regard to resilience, and gives you great thought-provoking ways that you can put an action plan together.
Yeah. Just building on that, Alan, I think what I love on top of that is that it really puts the spotlight on us as people leaders. And it makes us very clear, that highlights the role that we have and the impact that we have on people's well-being and resilience. And there's no hiding. Once you have that data saying you are impacting either positively or maybe not so positively, it really gets you as a leader to take action. You can't. It's impossible to ignore that data. So for me, actually, that's probably the most powerful element of this kind of psychometric tool.
Yeah. What I really think about insights from psychometrics are they make us have a shared understanding of what we talk about as well. Because what happens is when you say to Pedro, you lecture in the IMI, so do I, the business school, and you say to people, what does a good team look like? What's good leadership look like? They always write the characteristics up very quickly. We all know. So if we all know the stuff, what are we doing there? Well, then there's a knowing doing gap, and I think a psychometric allows you to get feedback in those elements. So it's not just you thinking you're good, where everybody could put the characteristics up. But then when we say, well, the people on your team, where would they put you in relation to that? The other thing is well-being and resilience can mean so many different things to different people. And I'm not, we know that this is the focus within companies, but you got to be careful, because when I even say to somebody, we need better decision-making, stronger influencing, you can be sure that everybody who's being talked to, if we all wrote down what we think we've heard, we'd all have very different definitions. So we run away going, stronger, better decision making, better influence. And the reason we get into conflict is we all have different definitions of what we're talking about. We never got to the behavior of the scripters. It's like back to the values. But when you have an instrument or a way to measure resilience, at least we have a shared understanding, a shared framework. It has to be leader led, and we can be deliberate about it. And that's what's the power of this as well. What I'd like to do now.
Yeah, I think one of the things just there to come in just briefly, Alan, what I liked about the relationships pillar as well is that resilience doesn't have to be a sole thing, just you all of the time. That resilience with these relationships can be shared, and you can develop by talking to other people and sharing some of your concerns and asking for help. Really important, I think, that section.
Yeah, and even being okay to ask for help and have an inside way to do that.
But to expand on that point from Pete, resilience is a multifaceted thing. It's not just this one entity that sits out in the ether. Everything that we do builds our resilience, and to be able to see the various components on this here metric allows people to use the sporting analogy, maybe to find where can they gain the inches. It doesn't have, as Beth was saying, it doesn't have to be this big magical leap that all of a sudden you're a resilient person. But where can you build small steps into your personal life, your professional life, your social life, your family life, etc. That brings you down that road.
And it is the inches. I thought you were going to give us the Al Pacino clip there, Colin, from a GAA version. But it is, people complicate everything, and they definitely complicate well-being. Or when they go after it, they go after it too much. It's a bit like coaching. I know a lot of you are coaching. And in January, maybe it'll be different this year, but people are going to, change their lives completely. And they buy every self-help book, and they if you're coaching, it's easy because you just ask them, what are you going to do differently? They go, that's it, no red meat, I'm doing Pilates, I'm doing yoga, I'm going to bed at 8, and they implode within 4 days. They'd be better off just grabbing one of them, following it through small steps and not giving themselves a hard time, learning from failure, noticing progress. That's the key.